Hi, I'm Celeste Shoemate, your host of American Dream TV. I'm also a native Charlestonian, and today I'm super excited to talk to you a little bit about the history of this beautiful town that I call home. I'm here with Adam Moore, who is a good friend. He's also a tour guide, and we are at the Dock Street Theater, and I'm gonna let you take it over and talk a little bit about the historic significance of this building.
This is a great place if you ever come to Charleston to see a show, but the year was 1736. This is the location of the very first theater in colonial America or US history. They had done theater in the colonies, but nobody had ever built a building specifically for theatrical performances until Dock Street Theater right here in 1736. But in 1809, this building was built as a hotel. So we're in the old hotel lobby, and as of 2023, they still do theatrical performances here.
I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about Charleston with you today. Let's go check it out.
Well, let's go.
So Charleston is a port city. We're one of the largest ports in the country. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the significance of our ports?
Charleston's historically been one of the largest port cities in the United States history from the beginning and to even now as far as volume of shipping. And so this thing about my tours is in Charleston, history's history. There's a very big stain on this city's history. This was unfortunately the #1 place in North America for importing an enslaved African. Not a great claim to fame, but it is factual about the city's history. And so during the West African slave trade, there were 400,000 humans taken from Africa and brought through the ports of North America for enslavement. Out of that 400,000, 40 to 45% came through this port right here. About 80% of African Americans, at least, can trace their heritage back to this port city. There's another thing that people don't realize, but bricks. Old bricks in Charleston were made on plantations, handmade by the enslaved. And in these bricks, when they're handmade, you can sometimes find old fingerprints of people who have handled these bricks. And this alley happens to have a lot of those fingerprints. If you look around and down, you'll see them all spread out throughout the alley. And it's a horrible part of the city's history, but it's very important to talk about so we can learn from. And it's a way we can honor it, because you can see these people's fingerprints. These are our fellow Americans, their ancestors that literally built this town and the country on their blood, sweat, and tears. Well, I wanted to bring you down to the Pink House since you're in real estate, and I think this is one of the oldest pieces of real estate in Charleston. It's one of the oldest structures in Charleston. It's called the Pink House. It was an all-black church at one point. It was built as a seafarer's tavern and brothel. And so when the pirates came to Charleston in 1718, this was a well-known tavern on the map. And yes, we have a huge pirate history here. Pirates and drinking go hand in hand, and so do Charleston.
We're here at Rainbow Row, which is a super cool spot. Adam, tell us a little bit about the history of Rainbow Row.
So Rainbow Row is one of the more photographed parts of Charleston, but it has a pretty interesting history. These buildings weren't originally painted these pretty colors. They date back, they were built between 1735, 1775, some of them a little later, but there's 13 houses, rainbow colors. What happened was the whole area down here was a slum at one point in the 1920s, but they weren't painted these pretty colors. And so there's a woman who came through, and I really owe a job to her. Her name's Susan Frost. She's actually the mother of preservation here in Charleston. She was a court stenographer, and her passion was in the early 1900s to take old homes, renovate them, and then sell them for real estate. This area was one of her bigger projects with the Preservation Society, and she was able to buy about 6 of them, eventually got some money to fix them up, rehab them.
Thanks so much for joining me today on American Dream TV. I hope you've found some of the history that we've touched on to be useful and interesting. Charlie and I are gonna go enjoy this beautiful city, and we'll see you next time on American Dream TV.